is everything that you need to know to make the strongest Aero Rover build. Alright, so first off, what even is Aero Erosion, or what does it do? It's like Spectre Frazzle. It does damage to the enemy over time, and the more Aero Erosion stacks that an enemy has on them, the more damage the stacks will do, but you also lose stack. What is the maximum amount of Aero Erosion stacks? The maximum amount of Aero Erosion stacks in the game right now is 3. Why is Aero Rover so important? Well, that is because you can increase the max amount of Aero Erosion stacks with his outro, which increases the limit by 3, so we will be at 6 Erosion stacks. And this means that Aero Rover will be essential to every single Aero Erosion team in the future, so yeah, he's worth building. Let's just start by simplifying his kit. So with his basic attacks, he has a 4-hit combo that does aero damage. So stage 1 and 2 are just slashes, 1, 2, and then 3 he throws his sword. And then on the third one he throws his sword, so bam bam, and then sword throw, as you can see. And on the fourth one he just gets his sword back. There we go, and throw sword, get sword back. As for his heavy attack, think of it as a dash, which consumes stamina and does aero damage. And you can do a normal attack right after to do stage 3 of his basic attack. We also have his enhanced heavy attack called Razor Vent. To do this, you hold your normal attack button. After stage 3 of his basic attack, dodge counter or heavy attack, and it consumes stamina to do aero damage. You know that you have done it right when he starts doing his mid-air attacks. So yeah, this is kind of tricky to time, but you'll get the hang of it. So to simplify this, third attack where he throws his sword, so this one, you just have to hold the heavy attack button, and then he starts floating. As for the heavy attack combo, heavy attack again. This is a lot easier. As for the mid-air attacks, he consumes stamina to do aero damage. It's a plunging attack. There we go. Jump, plunge. Without max 40 stacks, you can do a basic attack after landing to do stage 4 with basic attack. And when you have max 40 stacks, you can do a basic attack after landing to use his 40's enhanced skill. Dodge counter, it's a usual dodge attack, deal aero damage. So when it comes to his skills, he has 2 skills. So just look at the skill icon here. As you can see, we're on the ground right now, so it shows an arrow going up. But if you jump, it switches to a sword icon. So if you're on the ground, then it makes a jump and start doing his mid-air attacks. So slash the enemy and deal aero damage. It has a 3-second cooldown, and it's what you'll mainly be using to do his mid-air attacks. But if you're in mid-air and you press the skill button, then Rover will deal aero damage, remove all of the other negative statuses that the enemy has, and converts them to Aero Erosion at a 1:1 ratio. Again, the max stacks of Aero Erosion is 3, and this has a cooldown of 12 seconds. With his ultimate, which can be casted mid-air, he does an initial hit of aero damage, and then heals all of your party members. His ultimate is a good way to get back on the ground instead of plunging down. When it comes to his forte, he can have up to 120 40 stacks. So how do you get 40 stacks? To fill his forte, you need to do mid-air attacks called Cloudburst Dance, where he does 2 slashes, dealing aero damage, considered skill damage, and he also heals the whole team. Whenever his mid-air attacks hits the enemy, all of his healing scales with attack, so the higher his attack, the more he'll heal. You get 25 40 stacks every time you hit an enemy with the mid-air attacks. His intro gives you 20 40 stacks. Basic attack stage 3 or 4 and dodge counter gives you another 10 40 stacks. Alright, so how do you do the Cloudburst mid-air attacks? There are 3 ways to do this attack. First is the one which I recommend, normal attack after using skill on the ground, which again has a low cooldown of 3 seconds. The second way is by doing a normal attack after his intro. The third way is normal attack after his enhanced heavy attacks called Razor Vent, which I talked about earlier. With max 40 stacks, his skill will light up and it gets replaced with an enhanced version. It does 2 strikes, dealing aero damage, considered skill damage. Each strike consumes half of his forte. This skill can only be used on the ground. You need to press his skill button 2 times for 2 strikes, and there is 20 consider each, which is just a lot, but you can also just swap off after the first strike hits, and he'll do the second strike automatically. With his intro, he does aero damage. Yep, I know, it's a skill with the shortest description in the whole game. His outro lasts for 30 seconds. You get a shrink around all of your characters. It increases the max Aero Erosion stacks to hit enemies by 3, and yep, this cannot be stacked. So yeah, just like you guys noticed, Rover doesn't really have any buffing in his kit because all of his team buffs is in his sword, which you get for free after completing the main story quest. I'll talk about it more in the weapon section. Let's get to his inherent skills. Inherent skill 1, casting intro, increases his attack by 20% for 10 seconds. Second inherent skill, increases the healing from his ultimate by 20%. Can you simplify his kit even more? So basically your main goal with him is to fill his forte, and to do that you need to do mid-air attacks. Out of the 3 ways that I showed you to fill his forte, you will mostly be using the basic attack after intro or basic attack after skill on the ground. The third one doesn't really get used much since it's not as efficient. seconds. And again, his skill has a short cooldown of 3 seconds. So yeah, once you're up, you spam his mid-air attack to fill his forte. You usually need to do this 2 times to max his forte. And if the enemy has any negative status on them, then you can use your skill button while in mid-air to convert them to Aero Erosion stacks. Once you max his forte, you use his enhanced skill on the ground and then swap off after his first enhanced skill hits, because he will do the second one on his own. So yeah, pretty easy. If you're still confused, then don't worry. You'll understand him a lot better once we get to his rotations. Skill priority. So when it comes to his skills, his forte is the most important one, since most of his damage multipliers are here, and also his healing is here too. And then we have his ultimate, again healing and skill. As for the basic attacks and the intro, I would leave them at 5 or 6, since it can get expensive with the weekly boss mats. I mean, you won't really be using his basic attacks much, since most of his attacks are his mid-air forte attacks. So yeah, you can also just skip this if you want. Next, let's move on to his weapons. He currently only has 3 weapon options, and the best one is of course his signature weapon, which you can get for free from completing the main story quest. As for the refinements, we'll get him in the future once they release more main story quests. So this weapon gives you 587 attack, which is the highest that you can get on a 5-star weapon. And of course, since this is high, they have to lower the energy region to 38.8%, which is perfect because this is how much he needs. Perfect weapon for Rover, but the main reason why this weapon is so good is because of the weapon skill. So whenever the character who has this weapon provides healing, so providing healing increases skill damage by 10% at rank 1 and at rank 5 26% for 6 seconds, which is a lot, and this is super easy to get. I mean, Rover's mid-air attacks heal you and you'll almost always be using them, so this is basically permanent free skill damage. As for the second part, only Rover can use this since it's his signature weapon. So whenever Aero Rover casts his enhanced body skill called Unbound Flow, arrow damage dealt by all characters on your team is amplified by 10% or 26% for 30 seconds, which is a lot. Like, dang. Again guys, this is damage amp, which is a lot better than damage bonus. So this is OP. I mean, you usually only get damage amp from characters outros, which usually only lasts for 14 seconds or until the character switched out. So not as long as Aero Rovers, and also not team wide. It's only for one character, but this is for the whole team. Alright, so the best comparison that I would have here is Alto's outro. As you can see here, the incoming resonator, so only one character, has their arrow damage amplified by 23%. Again, Rover's arrow damage amp is 26%. This is more, and this only lasts for 14 seconds or until the character switched out, while this here, it lasts for 30 seconds and the whole team can use this. So yeah, this weapon is basically broken. Like, I don't know why they made it so strong, but I'm not gonna complain. So basically, once you max this weapon, your arrow teams will be like your strongest teams. As for his other options, we have the Overture because of the ER and the Consoro. Rover doesn't really have any Consoro problems, but the base stats on this weapon is really low, so I don't recommend it. As for his last option, if you don't have the Overture, it's the Sword of Voyager. Same thing, energy region, but I can't recommend these 2 weapons. I mean, his signature is free, so just do the story and get it. He deserves it, but if you already have Aero Rover, then you should have his signature weapon. So yeah, you should be good. Let's move on to his echoes, and when it comes to the echo sets, he has 4 options: the Rejuvenating Glow, the Moonlit Clouds, the new set, the Gusts of Velkin. And if you're playing him as a main DPS, then yeah, Sierra Gale, but here I would recommend you to use Chang-Li's sword or the standard 5-star sword. And of course, you have the Sierra Gale set with the arrow damage 40%. But if you're playing him in a double arrow team, then don't use Chang-Li's sword or the standard 5-star sword. Use his signature weapon, since he can boost the damage of your other arrow main DPS with his sword. Especially at R5, it's better. Another thing that you can do is use 2-piece Sierra Gale, 10% arrow damage bonus, and then 2-piece Gust of Velkin, so another 10% arrow damage bonus, with a sword echo as a 4 cost until you get a full set. But right now his best set would be the Rejuvenating Glow set. Why not Moonlit Cloud set? That's because his outro has a long duration, so put the Moonlit Cloud set on your sub DPS with an outro that can buff your main DPS. Why not Gust of Velkin? Right now, for a full set buff, Rover needs to apply Aero Erosion stacks to the enemy, which he can't, so you'll need somebody who can apply negative status to the enemy, which Rover can then convert to Aero Erosion. And your only option right now would be Phoebe or any other negative status applier. Otherwise, he can't trigger the full set buff, but you can also preform this set if you want. It will eventually become his best set once Rover has more teammates. I mean, if we look at the sword echo here, it says Aero Rover or question mark, which would probably be his best teammate. So yeah, this set is definitely still worth farming, and I will also farm this for my Aero Rover. But for now, since I already have the Rejuvenating Glow set, I'll just give him that. Alright, let's get to the best forecast for each echo set. Rejuvenating Glow, we have the Fallacy of No Return. The buff lasts longer, so yeah, more team damage. Moonlit Clouds, as always, the Heron. Gust of Velkin, the sword, it legit has Aero Rover's name on it. As for Sierra Gale, we have the Nightmare Monkey. funky. When it comes to the Echo main stats, it's the same for all sets. 4 cost, crit damage or crit rate, depending on which you need more. 3 cost, double arrow. 1 cost, double attack. Since he's healing, scales with attack. As for Echo substat priority, you first want 140% ER, which should be easy with his sword. And then you want the crits, crit damage and crit rate, attack percent, skill damage percent, and finally attack. Next we have the recommended stats. 1800 attack, 70% crit rate, 240 crit damage, 140% ER. When it comes to his teams, he doesn't really have that many options right now. So if you want to use Aero Rover as a support for your Alto or Jian as the main DPS, then for the sub DPS you can use Aero Rover, and if not Aero Rover, then Alto, Sunhua or Morphe. As for the healer, if Aero Rover is not a sub DPS, then he will be your healer. Or if you have Aero Rover as your sub DPS, then for your healer, Baiju, Marina or the Shorekeeper work. But if you want Aero Rover as your healer, it should be Aero Rover's best team right now. So you have Jian, Sierra Gale, Morphe, Moonlit Cloud Set, and Rover, Rejuvenating Glow. But if you still want to play Rover as a main DPS, then we have Rover. And then we need characters who can boost his skill damage. So Jeja, Cantarella, or Alto to buff his aero damage. As for the healer, any works, Baiju, Marina, or the best, of course, the Shorekeeper. So how do you get these sequences? Well, you'll get them all eventually from the main story quest, once they add more, or exploration, if not the main story quest. Alright, let me just speedrun all of his sequences in under 30 seconds. S1, with their attacks, enhances resistance to interruption. S2, enhanced force skill gives more healing. Scales with Rover's attack. S3, plus 15% aero damage bonus. S4, with their attacks increase skill damage by 15% for 5 seconds. S5, ultimate damage multiplier is increased by 20%. S6, damage multipliers of enhanced force skill is increased by 30%. Alright, let's move on to his rotations. So first, you start with his intro, and then you do his mid-air attack 1 and 2, and then his ultimate to get back down, and then you use his ground skill to go back up. Do mid-air attack 1 and 2, get the 40 stacks. If the enemy has any negative status on them, then you can use Rover's mid-air skill to convert them to Aero Erosion, and then you plunge down. Your 40 should be maxed by now. The 40 is enhanced skill. After the first hit, swap off and come back if you want, and then you can use his echo and do his outro. If you don't want to swap, after his 40 is enhanced skill, then you can do the 40 enhanced skill, echo, and then 40 enhanced skill again, and then outro. So as Aero Rover worth building, yeah, I mean his best weapon is free, and he will play a big role in Aero Erosion teams. Bro is really fun to play too, and he has the best animations out of all of the 3 rovers, but it's not his time to shine yet, so he's not top priority right now, since we only have his S1, R1, but there's nothing wrong with building him now if you're not working on anybody else. For new players, I would recommend Havoc Rover more as your main DPS, since he's complete, and his guide should be linked in the pinned comment if it's out. But Spectre Rover is complete too, and really broken, so worth building too. And again guys, Aero Rover can only get stronger from here, like he won't get any weaker, he'll just get better, stronger, and more meta every update, so you can't go wrong with building him. If this video helped you, then you can help me by liking and subscribing, and yeah, have a wonderful rest of your day or night. Thank you so much for watching.